Greetings, Acolytes of the Force, and students under the enslavement of the dark side, and welcome back to the embrace of knowledge the channel provides. I have been expecting you. It is widely noted that Dagobah, the planet that Yoda predicted would be the most obvious choice for his exile, was the host of one of the most powerful and potent dark side force nexuses in the galaxy, being the Cave of Evil that Luke Skywalker ventures within during the events of Empire Strikes Back, encompassing many of the mysteries around Yoda originally during his debut in that film. The Cave of Evil, also known as the Dark Side Nexus Cave, was a large dark side vergence located under the gnarled tree on the swamp planet of Dagobah, hidden deep within the dense vines and jungle habitat of Dagobah. Entering the cave subjugated entrance to the Vergence's control, protecting their worst fears as apparitions and illusions before them, encompassing their worst nightmares to see if their will was strong enough to withstand. The dark side cave of Dagobah was an overgrown landform deep delved within the endless swamps of the forgotten world. Little sun ever ventured within the surface of the planet due to the thick canopy overgrowth that encompassed the land around it, therefore shrouding the cave in an endless twilight. Beneath the thick overgrowth of vines and brambles, ancient stone steps and walls could be pictured at one entrance, while a second natural entrance opened in the void of a gnarled tree known as the Magic Tree in some circles. The vergence that manifested in the force within the cave was intense and fueled by the dark side aspects of the universal energy field that swirl invisibly around us in the galaxy far, far away. Because of this, the area surrounding the cave was permeated with a sense of dread and dark side persona, while force sensitives often perceived the area as being cold and filled with malice and menace and fury. Despite the negative energy it protruded, felt by sentients, Dagobah's diverse flora and fauna were attracted to the area and flourished around it. The nature of the Vergence's assertion on individuals was highly personal and acted on their worst fears and nightmares. Apparitions and illusions would materialize in the cave, interacting with the minds of entrants and exploiting their natural weaknesses and fears. The reactions to these apparitions would determine how the illusion was played out. The nature of the cave was not simply dark, but a true and sinister maniacal evil, and manipulation of the mind was meant to produce the worst outcome for the victim, drawing out the worst reaction and luring them towards the seductive influence of the dark side. The cave is power and darkness, and you will enter. What's in there? Only what you've been too weak to belly. Snoke and Kylo Ren uttered these words in his tutelage under the Supreme Leader during the Clone Wars, and while on a quest to learn the path to eternal consciousness, Yoda entered the cave on Dagobah under the guidance of the long-thought-to-be deceased Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn, one of the most powerful Jedi in the Clone Wars era. Inside, Yoda saw a dreamlike vision of the destruction of the Jedi Order and the Sith Lord Darth Sidious, a vision that overwhelmed his will and his strength. Over 2 decades later, during the event known as the Galactic Civil War, a galaxy-wide spread conflict between the Rebel Alliance and the Galactic Empire, and during his training with Grandmaster Yoda, the fledgling Jedi Luke Skywalker had to enter the cave as a test demonstrated by Yoda. In the Hollow, Skywalker had a vision in which he faced Darth Vader, the Dark Lord of the Sith, and his father. As Skywalker seemed to strike down Vader with a high lightsaber strike, the illusionary Sith Lord's helmet rolled on the floor, and the face shield cracked open to reveal the young Jedi's own continents between the masks, revealing that Luke was not beyond the seduction of the dark side. A few months later, a sovereign named Madeline's son arrived on Dagobah in search of the ancient and aging Grand Master. After saving her from a monster, Yoda used the Force to lead his son into the cave. While inside, she saw visions which dissuaded her from looking for him. Then she left the planet as Yoda watched and viewed from afar. Many years after, Skywalker was trained by Yoda on the swamp planet of Dagobah. His own nephew, now Kylo Ren, formerly Ben Solo, would travel here along with his dark side masterful master, Snoke, and go into the Cave of Evil and absorb the dark side nexus. There he faced visions of Luke and his parents Leia Organa and Han Solo. Though able to kill the vision, Ren was not able to kill the visions of his parents and fooled Snoke by destroying the Cave of Evil indefinitely. Snoke complained that the cave had stood for thousands of years, and he had planned to send under apprentices to it, to which Ren replied that the past is the past, and he would not need any other apprentices if his will, and the will of Kylo Ren, was strong enough. It was a pure manifestation of the dark side of the Force, and was constructed roughly around the year of 700 BBY. Of pure perversions in the Force, a cave of limestone and dirt. The dark side cave was located deep in the equatorial swamps and contained a vergence in the Force, as well as the apparition of a dark Jedi, a focal point for the dark side of the Force to feed on. The cave challenged the perceptions of anyone who entered into its depths and dark side embrace, drawing visitors in as they often experienced visions of the past, present, or a possible future. Hundreds of years before the Clone Wars, the Jedi Mitch battled and killed a powerful Bapashi Dark Jedi leader, and his energies absorbed into its surroundings, taking the planet with the Dark Spirit. During the Clone Wars, Yoda had a vision of the Dark Side Cave during one of his meditations. In this vision, Qui-Gon Jinn had survived the Battle of Naboo and had taken the 9-year-old Anakin Skywalker as his own Padawan. He guided Skywalker into the cave to face his fears and worries, telling him the same thing Yoda eventually told Anakin's son Luke many years later, including telling Anakin that what was inside the cave was only what you take with you. Later, near the end of the Clone Wars, Yoda himself entered the cave under the guidance of the spirit of Qui-Gon Jinn. Here, Yoda had visions of the fall of the Jedi Order and the rise of Darth Sidious. During the event known as the Great Jedi Purge, Yoda realized that proximity to the dark side cave could help neutralize his strong light side Force signature and suppress his persona in the Force from Sidious and Vader, thus presenting his detection by the Sith Lords, and took up residence near the cave's entrance, living there for the next 2 decades on the Swamp Planet. Through the reign of the Galactic Empire, soon after the exile, an Imperial scout named Keong Born investigated a signal near the cave. A hidden and concealed Yoda saw how the scout left the place after remembering about the Pafashi Jedi, Dark Jedi, and hearing some terrifying sounds emitting from the cave. Hyog Boon left the planet and reported there was nothing on Dagobah, and that the signal was merely an atmospheric disturbance. During the birth of the rebellion, during the Galactic Civil War, the clone of Starkiller spoke with Yoda briefly before entering the cave to look for the answers he sought so deeply. Inside, he was unable to use his Force powers, except for the ability of Mind Trick, which he utilized several times. He faced the Dark Spirit, who took the form of several other clones of Starkiller, and had to carefully traverse some deep pits. He made it deep into the cave's innermost secrets and received a vision of the assault of the Salvation. Starkiller exited the cave and then proceeded to leave the planet on his starship. In 1 ABY, the Force-sensitive Zack Aranda accidentally led a group of cannibal younglings into the cave. The Dark Spirit tortured them and reenacting scenes of their past, where their parents were forced to nourish upon their own flesh in order to sustain their lives. When Luke Skywalker travelled to Dagobah to train with Yoda in 3 ABY, the Elder Master asked him to enter the cave, confronting the Dark Spirit in the formation of Darth Vader, and defeated in the lightsaber duel, dipping into the passion and aggression of the dark side in the process. It was here he realized what would happen if he turned to the dark side of the Force. It also presaged the revelation that Vader was, unknown to him at the time, actually his father, Anakin Skywalker. 5 years after the events of Yoda's death on Dagobah in his hut, Luke Skywalker returned to the cave. This time he had a vision of a possible past, one where Mara Jade, his wife in Star Wars Legends, accompanied Jabba the Hutt's reunion to the Sarlacc. She was able to pull Luke's lightsaber away from him when his vision suddenly ended. While in the cave, he found a beacon left behind by Jori Kardas. In 14 ABY, the dark side power of the cave was siphoned by the disciples of Ragnos. This supposedly removed all of the dark energy, but it presumably returned to its source when the scepter of Ragnos was destroyed, or otherwise somehow regenerated itself due to the dark spirit lingering there. In 22 ABY, Anakin Solo, Tahari Vila, and Oldir Lochet entered the cave after Anakin had a reoccurring nightmare of becoming the infamous and deadly Darth Vader. There, Tahiri encountered a vision of her own parents and grandfather, and Anakin faced the manifestations of his own doubts. The two both emerged victorious, however. Old Deer, who was not Force-sensitive, however, encountered nothing in the cave but a vast emptiness, an expanse of the void. Other Force-sensitive beings entered the cave, included Tarsharanda and Zakaranda, two beings who were very closely linked through family bonds. It was also noted that Yoda confronted the spirit early in his years on Dagobah, who took the form of Darth Sidious, animating his greatest fear that Sidious had finally found him, as he knew he would not be able to withstand the might of the Dark Lord if he appeared on Dagobah at that time. Well, that was the complete story and breakdown of the cave on Dagobah, a pure dark side force nexus of deadly intent. Tell me if you're enjoying the daily Star Wars lore compilations and dark side scrolls that we are working so hard here on the channel to consistently unveil. Make sure to leave a comment and delegate your attention and ascend to the rank of master by hitting that subscribe button and the like button. It is your destiny. Goodbye, Acolytes, and I'll see you in a galaxy far, far away.